Ladies and gentlemen, now in today's video, we're going to be having a look at the full abilities for the brand new October champion, Cosmic Ghost Rider. Now, out of all the Heralds of Galactus, he looks to have the most utility, and it looks like if you play him right and kind of smash out the rotation, the damage could be really, really good. He's got a lot of fury, a lot of crit, and you can enhance both of those buffs via the heavy attack aptitude, and on top of that, he's got a lot of armor breaks to further scale up the damage. So everything looks pretty promising on paper, except I do have concerns about the practicality of certain points in his rotation, and we'll discuss that as we go down as well. But he seems like he's going to be a bit of a hectic character to play, and there's a lot to manage, but he shares very similar themes to the Mystic, the original version of Ghost Rider. So if you enjoyed like Mystic Ghost Rider, I think you should hopefully really enjoy Cosmic Ghost Rider. But again, there is some stuff that looks a little bit annoying, but the first two things that Cosmic Ghost Rider has is he has full immunity to both bleed and incinerate, so that's really, really good there. Also, when fighting a villain champion, he gains an indefinite armor break on the opponent at the start of the fight, reducing their armor rating by 700. So one particular matchup, Killmonger, that's going to be really, really good for. You just instantly break his armor and it's shattered, I think, for the rest of the fight as well. So no reverberation damage there, but that's like nice as an additional damage booster against any villain matchup there. Now, next up, we've got his judgments, which are somewhat similar to the classic Ghost Rider's judgments, but being a cosmic champion, these trigger whenever he gains a buff, and he has loads of different buffs that he gains in all sorts of ways, and we'll talk about those buffs. But yeah, basically, when you trigger a judgment, you gain a buff, and the opponent gains a judgment. So each judgment can only be stacked a single time, but last indefinitely, and each judgment increases the duration of any buff triggered by 20%. While you have 5 judgments in place, this bonus is doubled. But upon gaining any 5 or more judgments, there is a 100% chance to place a power lock debuff on the opponent for 4 seconds, and when this power lock ends or fails to apply, all judgments on the opponent are converted into armor break debuffs, reducing their armor rating by 1,000 and a bit for 10 seconds, and removing armor up buffs. And if Cosmic Ghost Rider gains a Fate Seal debuff, he removes all of his judgments, and he cannot trigger new ones until it ends. So just to break this down, you gain buffs. Every additional buff you gain increases the duration of the next one by 20% until you hit 5, and then you've got this 4-second period where if you trigger a buff, then the bonus is doubled even more. So I think that's going to be like a 200% duration bonus if you use it during the power lock debuff there. And also once that ends, for every judgment you have on the opponent, you get a massive armor reduction. So if you've got, what is it, like 6 of these judgments active, that's like a 6,000 armor rating reduction just over for 10 seconds, so you should hit really hard during that period. But I think after the judgments expire as well, I don't think your buffs disappear, but I may be incorrect on that one. Again, there's a lot to take in with Cosmic Ghost Rider. He definitely has that level of complexity that's very similar to the original Ghost Rider, and some people are going to enjoy that and some people are going to find it very confusing. So there is a lot to take on board here, but yeah, seems interesting. So how do you get the various buffs there? So when attacked, he gains the armor up buff, and that also gives, again, a judgment as well. Finishing a 5-hit combo with a medium attack gives you a vigilance buff, which is a 100% chance to prevent your attacks from missing for 10 seconds. And again, depending on the order which you trigger buffs, you can increase the duration of this as well. So you can counter champions, for example, like Guillotine 2099, Darkhawk, Invisible Woman. So that's very, very interesting there. This one, finishing a 5-hit combo with a light attack. So this one has a 100% chance to trigger a power gain buff, granting 75% of a bar of power over 1.25 seconds. Now, this one is mad. This is huge power gain very, very quickly as well, and you can also increase the duration of this and thus increase the power gain as well. So it should be very easy with this Ghost Rider to gain massive chunks of power to get to like Special 1, Special 2, Special 3. So yeah, that one's very, very interesting for massive power gain. Also on the heavy attack, you get an aptitude buff as well, which can increase the potency of armor up, fury, cruelty, and precision buffs, triggered by 50% for 8 seconds. So this can further enhance his damage output via the Special 2 and Special 3. Also, when activating any special attack, you gain a cruelty. So this increases your crit damage rating by 700 and a bit for 15 seconds there. Special 1 is Hellfire. So if the Judgment of Unblockable is not active, you activate it and you go unblockable for 1 second. So this is an additional buff there, and also incinerates as well. So just firing off the Special 1, you trigger 2 judgments off that there. So it should be really easy to hit the the 5 judgments and just continue to cycle stuff theoretically on this champion. But there is one really annoying thing on the Special 2. So the Special 2 is Power Cosmic. So on activation, if the Judgment of Precision is not active, 100% chance to trigger a precision buff, increasing crit rating by 8,400 for 15 seconds. This is a absolutely astronomical buff to the crit rating, man. And combined with like Armor Break and Fury, he should be like critting like a madman and dealing so much damage during this. And it also applies an additional 15-second armor break on the Special 2 as well. However, the really annoying thing is while the precision is really strong, you can also easily trigger the Judgment of Precision with Dexterity. So if you Dex, it's going to trigger the crit judgment and apply that judgment to the opponent, but then you can't trigger the precision off the Special 2. So I'm not really too sure how that kind of weaves into the rotation. I'm not too sure if it's something like you need to trigger this like as soon as your judgments reset and the power lock dissipates there. But yeah, it just seems really, really annoying that this one can trigger off Dexterity, but maybe for shorter fights this could be potentially a good thing to get armor breaks on the opponent. But yeah, I don't know, it seems really, really, really tedious and really annoying on paper, because that precision buff, if you want to get max damage, is going to be so key for just gaining like through the roof crit rating there. But yeah, that seems pretty damn interesting. And also via the Special 3, you gain a Fury buff that lasts for 15 seconds. And again, one thing to consider with all of these buffs, again, you increase the duration by 20% for every judgment that you have active on the opponent. So the Fury buff, if you activate it while the opponent is power locked, I think can have like a 45-second duration there. And on top of all of the armor breaks and the precision, again, all of this damage could weave together to be really, really significant for Cosmic Ghost Rider. So I'm curious to see how this champion kind of folds together, because it seems like there's a lot of cool stuff he can do. He's got like immunity to incinerate, immunity to bleed, can counter miss opponents, lots of armor break, lots of damage output. He's got unblockable on the Special 1 as well. So yeah, on paper he seems very, very interesting, but we also have his signature ability as well, which means that the power lock debuff triggered when reaching 5 judgments is upgraded to a damnation debuff, and this deals additional damage based on the duration as well. So this should be pretty damn spicy on top of everything else, and if it scales up with the Fury, should be really, really nice. Also, opponents under damnation are also power locked, heal blocked, and fate sealed as well. So that could be quite nice for certain scenarios where you need to get rid of buffs, because it kind of gives him like that Mystic Champion nullify there with a fate seal. So yeah, that's pretty cool. It seems like a nice bonus, but it doesn't seem absolutely essential, which is what I like, because it seems like even without the awakened ability, he's going to be a really good champion to get, brings a fair amount to the table. But yeah, it looks like that awakened ability is like a nice little icing on the cake. So yeah, I always like a champion that doesn't rely on like the awakened ability in the full 200 levels, and it certainly doesn't seem like that's going to be the case for Cosmic Ghost Rider, so that's very nice there. And then we've got the synergy bonuses. So we got one with Ghost Rider and Cosmic Ghost Rider, which allows Cosmic Ghost Rider to get 50% buff duration if you have no judgments active on the opponent. So your first buff gains plus 50% duration. Again, this could be really nice for like the power gain. If you immediately start with like a light combo, this could give you like 50% more power gain there. So yeah, that seems like a pretty good synergy. And also for the Mystic Ghost Rider, increases Fury buff duration by 100%. So this one really, really good for longer fights and scenarios, and even shorter ones as well. I'm not too sure if it's enough to like properly buff up Ghost Rider, but this should make a pretty nice difference, man. I'm excited for this one. And then we got the Heralds of Galactus ones. This only applies to what is it? Cosmic Ghost Rider here. So once per fight, dash back and hold block for 1.2 seconds, and the next judgment you attempt to trigger has minus 100% ability accuracy. So I'm not too sure like how this one is useful and how it works, but if you need to like throw an attack or a combo once and you don't want you know the judgment to trigger, then yeah, I guess this is going to be useful, but I don't see it. It seems a little bit awkward to chuck into any character's rotation, but I don't know, there might be some sort of like super mega combo that this is useful there. And then we've got Night Thrasher one, which increases armor break debuff duration by 35%, and also Night Thrasher, the last hit of a heavy attack refreshes one active taunt debuff. This should be crazy for both characters, man, because his armor breaks, they seem very potent. I believe they all stack up as well, so getting an additional 35% duration is going to be very, very nice. Like, it's an additional like combo or special attacks worth of damage there. Night Thrasher refreshing the taunt is also really, really good as well, for just keeping that taunt up for additional debuffs, and also more aggressive playstyle on the opponent. And then we've got one with Man-Thing. So Cosmic Ghost Rider, on charging its heavy attack, has a 100% chance to trigger an unstoppable buff lasting for 0.5 seconds, and then goes on cooldown for 10 seconds. And I think this is actually going to be really good for the like get hit and get an armor buff judgment. So yeah, that could be good, because heavy attack is then going to give you the heavy judgment and the getting hit judgment if you throw this at the right time. And also Man-Thing gains 5 agitation whenever you nullify a buff. Probably not going to be enough to save Man-Thing, but it's a nice little bonus, I guess. So yeah, in certain matchups, man, this might be alright for Man-Thing there. And finally, we've got one with Punisher 2099, who is getting buffed with today's update as well. So Cosmic Ghost Rider, the first time your opponent reaches max power each fight, drain 5% of their power and trigger a power lock debuff lasting 2 seconds. So this is nice, I would imagine, for shorter fights. It kind of gives you Punisher 2099's awakened ability a little bit watered down. But yeah, it can be alright for like saving you in a bad scenario, maybe against a power gain matchup or something. So yeah, might not be too bad there. And also Punisher 2099, heavy attacks have a 100% chance to grant a Fury buff, increasing attack rating by 25% for 20 seconds. Now, if this stacks, is going to be mad. If it stacks and you can chain heavy on the corner with like, what is it? The minus 90% opponent power gain during overdrive, this could be crazy. This could be like actually game breaking for Punisher 2099, especially after his buff. So I'm very curious to see how this one works, but if it stacks, it's going to be really good. If it doesn't stack, it's still going to be good. But yeah, I'm curious to see how that one works, man. That should be very, very interesting there. Yeah, that's pretty much it for Cosmic Ghost Rider. So he's a very different, like, buff-oriented take on Ghost Rider that seems to have some pretty solid utility, some really good damage output once you tie everything together. So yeah, overall, he looks very promising. I'm still like a little bit concerned about the general practicality of his rotation, especially with the special to precision as well. So yeah, we'll see how Cosmic Ghost Rider turns out, but at least on paper, he seems like a really, really solid character. I'm predicting like at least God tier for Cosmic Ghost Rider, with the way that all the damage weaves together and also the utility that he does have on the base of the character as well. But yeah, we'll have to see how he does work out. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, let me know your thoughts on Cosmic Ghost Rider in the comment section below. And if you did enjoy today's video, please do smash that like button. That would be greatly appreciated. Aside from that, thank you very much for watching. Take care, and I hope that you have an absolutely fantastic day.